Karmelo Anthony is guilty of murder, and the left is playing the race card. On April 2nd, 2025, at a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony fatally stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in the chest during a dispute over a tent. Anthony, then a student at Centennial High School, had entered the rival Memorial High School tent. Austin Metcalf and his twin brother asked him to leave. Witnesses reported Anthony responding, "Touch me and see what happens," while keeping his hand in his backpack. Metcalf pushed or grabbed Anthony to remove him. Anthony then drew a 5-inch folding knife and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest before fleeing. Metcalf died in his brother's arms. Anthony surrendered shortly afterward. He told police, "I did it," and claimed self-defense, saying Metcalf had put his hands on him. On June 9th, 2026, after a trial with extensive witness testimony, surveillance footage showing the shove followed by the stabbing, and physical evidence, including the knife and Metcalf's blood-stained clothing, a Collin County jury deliberated for roughly 3 hours and convicted Anthony of murder. The jury rejected both his self-defense claim and any sudden passion reduction. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison. The evidence shows murder, not self-defense. Texas law allows self-defense and stand-your-ground protections, but they require a reasonable belief of imminent, deadly force or serious bodily injury. And the response must be proportional. None of that existed here. Anthony was not an innocent party minding his own business. He was in a rival team's tent during a rain delay at a school event where his presence was unwelcome. Multiple witnesses said he was asked to leave repeatedly. Instead of walking away, the simplest de-escalation, he issued a clear threat while reaching for a concealed weapon he had brought to the meet. The only physical contact from Metcalf was a shovel grab to enforce the request to leave. That is not deadly force. It does not justify drawing a knife and driving it into another teenager's chest. Anthony's own words and actions destroyed any credible self-defense argument. He provoked the confrontation with his threat, escalated it with a deadly weapon against an unarmed person, and then fled the scene. The jury saw the evidence, including footage and consistent student testimony, that Anthony was viewed as the aggressor and correctly concluded this was a provoked, unjustified killing. First-degree murder charges were appropriate, and the conviction fits the facts. Claims that Anthony was a smaller victim acting in fear ignore the reality. He chose to carry a knife, chose to threaten, and chose to use lethal force over a petty territorial dispute. Self-defense is not a license to kill someone for pushing you after you refuse to leave where you do not belong. The left's race card play. The facts of the case have nothing to do with race. The prosecutor explicitly stated during opening arguments that this case has nothing to do with race. Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, has repeatedly said the same. This was never about race. It is about right and wrong. He condemned attempts to politicize his son's death and expressed disgust at the public response that tried to turn a clear criminal act into a racial grievance. Fake. Yet parts of the left, activist circles, and sympathetic media immediately racialized the case. Anthony is black. Metcalf was white. That single fact triggered the familiar playbook. Portray the black defendant as a victim of systemic bias, question the jury composition, and suggest the outcome would have been different if the races were reversed. During jury selection, the defense raised a Batson challenge after black potential jurors, including educators, were struck for race-neutral reasons, such as occupation. The judge denied it. The seated jury had no black members, though Collin County is diverse, and the strikes followed standard procedures. Some coverage and online commentary immediately framed this as proof of racism rather than a normal part of voir dire. Post-verdict reactions from certain activists and commentators focused on the defendant's race and the jury's makeup instead of the evidence of the stabbing. This is the race card in action. It shifts attention from individual choices and accountability to group identity. It implies that a black teenager who stabs another teenager to death deserves special sympathy or lowered standards because of his skin color. It treats the white victim's death as less tragic or politically inconvenient. It fuels fundraising and protests that portray Anthony as persecuted rather than convicted on the evidence. And it dismisses the victim's family's explicit rejection of the racial narrative. The same voices rarely apply consistent standards. When the races are reversed in other cases, the demand is usually for maximum accountability without excuses. Here, the impulse is to manufacture doubt and grievance where the facts are straightforward. The result is division, not justice. It teaches young people that consequences depend on demographics rather than actions. Justice requires facts, not narratives. The jury performed its duty. It listened to the evidence, rejected the self-defense claim, and delivered a verdict grounded in reality. Karmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. The sentence of 35 years reflects the seriousness of taking a life over nothing. Attempts to inject race with the prosecutor, the victim's family, and the evidence all say it does not belong, serve only to obscure the truth. 2 teenagers are gone from the promise of their futures. 1 dead, 1 imprisoned, because one young man chose escalation and lethal violence instead of walking away. That is the story. Everything else is a distraction. Austin Metcalf's father was right. This is about right and wrong. The conviction affirms that principle. The race card cheapens it.